AFC Bournemouth 0, West Ham 4. Riley, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the game and what's gone on, what a moment this is, eh? What a turnaround. From the last time we spoke, actually, from the last time we recorded together, I don't think we were in this kind of position. Well, we certainly weren't in this position, but we certainly didn't have this optimism. But it does feel like the clouds are parting a bit. Would you agree?
Definitely. I mean, it's been some week, isn't it? Sunday, 2-2 against Arsenal, go through to the Europa League, Conference League semi-finals and in style. And now we beat Bournemouth 4-0 in emphatic. I mean, it's just one of those games that we just had to win. We absolutely had to win it. And considering they just come off the back of a 3-2 win against Spurs, which, seems easy to beat Spurs these days, I guess. But at the time, I thought was a good result for them. I thought going to their stadium, they were going to make it a difficult game for us. But we really turned up. We turned up with a good game plan, high intensity. We didn't take our foot off the gas. And it was a brilliant performance. Good for goal difference as well. And potentially all but safe now, mate.
Yeah, well, it's a title, this video, mate, all but safe. I do feel that that's how I feel. I said in the preview before the game that if we'd got a result, the 3 points at Bournemouth, I would consider that we're 95% safe. And I do think that because it's not just for me, it isn't just the points, it isn't just the fact we've got to win. We haven't just got to nick a result and you've gone, yeah, that's pretty good. Fingers crossed you'll be all right. It's the way we're playing now. You can't really see West Ham not winning another game this season. In fact, I'd probably go as far as saying we're probably going to win a few more if we carry on with this form because I mean, before the Bournemouth game, I think it's the first time in quite some time that I've really looked forward to a Premier League game. And it was away from home, and I'm at back of my mind thinking, I actually fancy us today. I think we might get a result. I genuinely think it's been well over a year since I felt that. So that was so exciting. That's a lovely feeling, and I feel it even more so now. Bring on Liverpool, bring on Palace. I'm really buzzing, and Declan Rice kind of alluded to that the players now are really hungry. You know what it's like when you win. You just want to keep playing. I'm sure the players want to be playing today. They're probably aching to get on the pitch again. So, mate, it's a brilliant time. You mentioned something. I've made some notes and sort of points we want to talk about in the game. You mentioned about the change in tactics and the fact we're playing this high press. Is that something you think that's come with confidence, or is that something we can look towards David Moyes as saying, well, is the penny drop for the manager? What's your thoughts on the shift in the way we're playing?
It's tough to say, isn't it? I mean, the low block was not working. The sit back low block, it was too stale for us. So winning the ball high up the pitch, especially like in the midfield, for instance. I mean, it's Declan Rice, something he's so good at. I feel like it does work easier for us, especially because we need to be this team that hits on the counter. But I mean, the big thing for me yesterday was the fact Aaron Cresswell's back, and the amount of damage we caused them from set pieces was. I mean, I think pretty sure all 3 goals were caused pretty much from set pieces, and then obviously the last goal by Fornals was a bit of a breakaway goal towards the end of the match. But having him back for set pieces, and obviously it's always been a big attribute of our game under Moyes, and it looks like we're kind of getting that back at the moment, which is really promising.
Yeah, you're right. It does feel a bit like it feels like we've hit a bit of a time machine, gone back to a couple of years ago. It feels like the way that Moyes set up and how he likes to play and get in the team's faces. It really seems we've gone back to that. And like you say, it's hard to pinpoint exactly why that is. I don't quite know. I think it's a combination of whether the manager's just kind of accepted this now and gone, this is the best way it works. We're working out our best system. Because a lot of people will say, I think the players took into their own hands. I think that's harsh on Moyes because, at the end of the day, if you're going to criticise the manager when we lose games and don't play very well, then you can't then not praise him when we're playing well and getting results. I think you can't have it both ways. And I think he does deserve credit because the Arsenal game for me was, and I'm sure for yourself and most will be, that was the turning point. Something happened that day. We just showed up. The tactics were different because it wasn't as if we came into the game after Arsenal scored. We actually started the game very much on the front foot, right at them, high press. And unfortunately, they're just quality. They nicked a couple of early goals, which kind of gave the impression that that's when West Ham came into life and we then had to fight back. But I don't actually think that was true. I thought we were actually playing well up to that point anyway. But yeah, I don't know whether I don't know what's happened, but it does feel like Moyes has now let the shackles off the team and gone. Just, do you know what? The best way to beat teams is just go at them. Don't keep trying to sit back and nick a win. Actually, we've got enough quality in the team. So I want them to be worrying about us. I want Liverpool to show up on Wednesday night, worrying about West Ham rather than it being the other way around, which seems to be the way we've been playing so long. spending all these time worrying about how we're going to defend games when you just think, well, actually, I'm happy to concede a goal here and there if we're going to actually just attack because it looks like we've got quality to do it. And also, mate, which was quite interesting, the early goals. I mean, very rare West Ham United get early goals. I think is it 2-0? I think we're in 15 minutes. Was that right?
Yeah, around about that. I think it might have been even earlier than that potentially, but it's not something we do often, and it's annoying, isn't it? Because I feel like most games that we play in the first like 2 or 3 minutes, we're always at teams, and like we have the potential to go forward. And you're thinking, hold on, we could be on the front foot here, and then we often either just fizzle out or actually concede the first goal. I mean, it's exactly what happened in the Arsenal game. We started off really, really well, and then they score early, they score again, and then we've got a mountain to climb. But yeah, that's not something we see from Moyes, and I think that is part of the high press sort of idea of winning the ball quickly and just trying to score. And I think it's very important to take the lead early in games. It does take the pressure off. It allows the team to flow a little bit easier. I just can't believe this team that's playing so well now has been struggling all season. I can't believe it's taken around about 30 games for us to be playing a little bit of decent football and hitting a bit of a good run. I mean, you look at the talent we've got in the squad, and it's crazy to think that this team is in a relegation battle because, quite frankly, I mean, the quality there, we should be up between 8th and sort of 6th for the moment, in my opinion.
Yeah, we should be. I mean, I think that's been the frustrational season, isn't it? Knowing that they've got all this quality in the side and we've just not been able to get a tune out of the players. They've just not been. It's not worked, and for whatever reason, and we've talked about it enough in terms of the manager not understanding the tactics and being too defensive and all these things. But you're right; it's like a light switch moment. All of a sudden, the players it's like they've just gone click and everything's fallen into place at once. We don't seem to have many. I mean, I'm touching wood here, but in what I'm about to say because. We've got no injuries effectively, which is I think a big boost as well. Having this depth in the squad, being able to rotate a little bit. I mean, when was the last time when we're actually looking at games, going who's going to be our centre backs pairing Zuma? We've got 3 players all vying for it, and they've all got a decent case to be starting. So we never have this, and it's brilliant. I'm honestly thrilled about how things are going, and it's about time because this has been a long. I was thinking, it's been 7 months this season, 7 months of really no enjoyment of football.
Feels longer.
Suddenly now have a week where we look like the old West Ham again. We look like a team that can go and compete. I'm looking at Chelsea, mate, in 11th, thinking we could topple them. We really could go above them. You look at their running, you look at ours. I can see us getting a few more points on the board, and I think they're going to struggle. So. When was the last time we could think like that? All we've spent all season is just looking over our shoulder, worrying, looking at teams around us, dreading every week. Now we can actually start to join football. It's brilliant. A player I wanted to bring to your attention as well, Riley, who I think played very well, who seems to be going back to the player that we signed originally, is Vladimir Soufal. He was excellent. And what would you put it down to? Do you think that it's down to the fact he's recovered from injury, confidence? What's your thoughts on Soufal?
I don't know. I think every player in this squad has just reached an extra gear at the moment. I think they understand that this is crunch time, and I think the momentum as well that we're procuring from Europe is only going to help us. With Soufal, I think he's had to battle for his place all season. Now that he's kind of getting a little bit of a run back in the side, I think he just thinks to himself that he's got to, like I said, get that extra gear. And I think the fact that we're nearing the end of the season, we need to get these extra points. I feel like every single player has just reached that extra level. But yeah, Soufal was absolutely excellent yesterday. His ball in for Paqueta was just a peach. And it's the kind of thing that I think all season we've been trying to do, isn't it? Get these balls into the box and hang them up in the air. And no one seems to attack them and go for them. But we scored 2 headers yesterday. And I guess Fornals' goal was also, which was brilliant, also a cross as well. So all season we've been, trying to lump balls into the box and nothing comes of it. And, 3 of the goals yesterday came from that. So, yeah, I think, anyway, I'm getting off track. But, yeah, with Soufal, I just think he's reached that extra level. He knows what he needs to do and he wants to stay in the side.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think he's gone. I think it's a big amount of confidence for him. I think he just suddenly looks the player again that we originally we took on. I'm just so pleased for him. It's really brilliant. I was very impressed with him with the as you said, Paqueta goal. Lovely cross, which is very rare from him to hit a decent ball. But he's it's just the way his attitude seems right again. He seems to be really connecting well with the fans again, and it's great. A really good moment this is for our club, and that's what's going to bring me on to, before we do the player ratings, mate, for the game. Momentum is a word that we've talked about a fair bit in this season, and saying that's what we've lacked, any momentum. We've never really got going, and all of a sudden now we seem to have it in abundance. We're really flying, and you can just see every player is really enjoying their football. Where do you think this is going to take us, Riley? Can you see this being a huge turning point, bigger picture for the football club? Can you see this really, really pushing on, maybe going to win a trophy this season, or can you see this fizzling out? What's your feelings?
I think my gut feeling is we are going to make it to the final of the Conference League. One thing I've been worried about, which obviously was evident last year, was having a European hangover, but it seems to be the absolute opposite. We seem to almost play better when we off the back of Europe, maybe because of momentum or the fact that we have rested quite a few players during midweek. Yeah, I think we will get to the final. Whether we win it or not, I wouldn't dare to say. But as far as the Premier League's concerned, I said earlier this season that if we can beat the teams around us, we're going to be absolutely fine. And I think we would do that. And yeah, I think we've got quite a few. We've got Palace left. We've got Leeds left.
Yeah.
City, I would argue, is a write-off, especially with the way they're going about their season. Liverpool, we're desperate for the point. So, I'm not too sure on that one. United as well, I think will be a tough game. But all in all, I think we're going to be safe. I'm confident to say that we're going to be safe this season, which is crazy to say because I think we're only 6 points above the relegation zone or 5 points above the relegation.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're 6 points above it, but I think the team's got 6 games to play. Bearing in mind as well, we have that kind of invisible point in the goal difference, so effectively 7 points ahead of everyone. Because I mean, the swing's just so great that won't be caught. And yeah, I'm very optimistic now. I'm actually the thought of relegation now is not really in my mind anymore. I can't really. We'd have to lose every match now, I think, for us to go down, and they'd have to pick up quite a few points to pick us up. You just can't see it. So I'm pretty confident. I'm confident going into Liverpool, mate. I really am. Before we do the player ratings, now I don't want to talk about this too much because this has been a subject we talked all season about, and to be honest with you, we probably need to hold off on it until the end of the season anyway. But obviously, the David Moyes debate has somewhat not resurfaced. Probably, if anything, it's been subdued a little bit. He seems to have at least be justifying the reason why the club kept him on in the first place, because there was obviously a lot of question marks. Me and you questioned it quite a bit. I've certainly been doing it. I wasn't overly happy with the situation, although I acknowledge the fact there wasn't really many options available at the time. But do you think David Moyes is starting to make a strong case now that possibly by the end of the season the club might go, well, look, we've got no reason to get rid of this man?
Well, that's a question mark. It's not really a question I want to be answering at the moment, to be honest with you. I think he's making a case for himself, but I would argue that in the last 6 games of the season, that's when your players are either going to turn up or not. How much we can really attribute what's going on right now to the manager is debatable, I guess. I mean, yes, he's changed the system a little bit, but I think the players are just reaching that extra level. They know that the passion coming through from the players is more adamant than these new tactics, because it's not like he's got a new formation in or new personnel. He's kind of just recycled the old team and tried to get a tune out of them. But who knows? I mean, if we were to win the Conference League and make it to a mid-table, can you really argue if they're going to give him another season? But I just think I do just think his time's just kind of gone at the moment, and we do need a fresh face to get in, because it shouldn't have taken him this long to get a tune out of the players regardless. Like I said, we've got such a good, talented group of players. I don't know how we're even in this position to begin with, but yeah, I mean, he's given himself an argument at least,
Yeah, I would say he's given himself quite at the moment a strong case, but at the moment, as you say, there's a long way to go yet. We've still got a fair bit of Premier League to go. I think we've got 7 games to go to play, plus we've obviously got the Conference League. He'll be judged, I think, over the next. So Conference League's what's that? If we make it to the final, it's another 3 games. He's got effectively another 10 games to play this season if we go all the way to the final. I think that's the case of the club. If I was a club, I'd be thinking we'll judge it at the end of them. But at the moment, he's if we keep playing like this until the end of the season, you'd expect West Ham, like you say, to be mid-table. I'd expect us to even possibly be 11th, being above Chelsea. And I certainly think we could go and win that trophy if we play in this manner and keep this up. And there's no reason why we can't. There's no reason why, unless we get like crippling injury issues or anything like that really disrupts the team. You'd like to think we've got enough in this, going now to because it's not a long time. You're only talking 5 weeks. It's not a long time to keep this going. We just got to keep that. We don't want to get derailed, and I don't think we will. I don't see it in the team at the moment. I think the players are really enjoying it all of a sudden. I think the fans are really on side. That's the one thing as well, is seeing everyone so united. We haven't seen that for such a long time. The bond between the players and the fans and even the manager seems to be very strong all of a sudden, which is really good. I mean, we'll talk about this in another video, the Declan Rice situation, and of course the singing from the fans, which I just thought was brilliant. Slightly awkward, probably a little bit for Declan, but I don't really care. I think it's nice to show that how much he's loved at the club, and we'll talk about it in more detail, but possibly giving him something to think about a little bit. Who knows? Player ratings, mate. So we do our top 3. We don't go through the whole team. We'll just go for our top 3 performers for this. So I'm going to give my third first, and that I'm going to give that to Soufal. I thought he was brilliant. It's actually quite hard to do these player ratings. We've introduced these top 3 player ratings on this channel, and we started it against the Arsenal game. So it's been 3 games now where literally I'm thinking this way. I could put easily pick all 11. They're really good, but because I was close to picking Fabianski for this actually, but I've gone with Soufal. I thought he was excellent. Who's your number 3, Mr. Riley?
I did also go for Soufal. Like I said, I think he had a really good game. Sort of patrolled that right hand side, and anyone who's a part of a defence that can keep Bournemouth at bay with the way they're sort of doing things at the moment, I think has had a great game. So, but yeah, like you said, I also could have given it to Fabianski. I think he was very commanding in his area. I also think Creswell, arguably, maybe as well, with his set piece delivery and the new attack that he's given the team. But yeah, I'm going to give Soufal number 3. I like his little recovery as well. I think he's done well.
Yeah, me too. I'm really, really pleased for him. There's a few players I'm chuffed with, but for him as well, brilliant, really good. Midfield for me is the final 2 for me. So this is a bit of a juggle between them. Now, Declan Rice got man of the match for us against the Arsenal game. No, he got man of the match, sorry, for the Ghent game. But yeah, I've got him as number 2 today. He was quite close to being number 1, but he was outstanding again. I mean, his performances are just. I mean, it's quite hard to keep talking about Declan, isn't it? It's almost like you have to keep repeating the same thing. It's so much so now that he has to be like world class for anyone to kind of suggest that he's man of the match. But because he's just that good. But yeah, brilliant performance from him again. Great to see him score again. I think that's the first time he scored back-to-back goals for West Ham, so that's brilliant. And he looks like a man that's enjoying his football again. He looks happy. He looks to be enjoying life. And obviously we've got a lot of question marks over his future still ringing around the club. But yeah, good day for Declan. He was my number 2. Who was yours, matey?
My number 2 is Paqueta, who I'm assuming is your number 1.
Yes.
It was between Paqueta and Rice for me. I think they just dominated the midfield. For me, Paqueta's definitely becoming the cog in this team. The link between the midfield and the attack. We've got Declan Rice as the link between defence, attack, and midfield, and Paqueta's just becoming that player that's sort of linking the two together. And I love the way he popped up for his goal as well, just at the back post. It's something I think Souček needs to do so much more often, being the big physical player he is. But Paqueta's brimming with confidence at the moment, scoring goals like him. He scored back-to-back goals as well, scoring a penalty obviously against Ghent, and now has scored again. But yeah, for me, Rice has to be number 1. I think he's just a cut above the rest. I mean, there's not much more any West Ham fans can really say about him. I think he took his goal brilliantly. He led by example. I also think he's really turned up as a captain of the club in the last couple of weeks. I think that is honestly a big reason as to our run of form, is that Declan Rice has kind of taken on the role as captain, and he's actually, I feel like, leading the team a little bit more. So yeah, for me, Declan Rice has to be number 1. He just controls the game, allowed us so easily to get on the ball, despite the fact that Bournemouth were obviously in control of the game, as claimed by Chris Mepham. But I would argue otherwise. I would argue that we were in control of the game, especially in midfield, having 2 absolute studs like Rice and Paqueta.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Rice and Paqueta outstanding. Paqueta, we're actually starting to see that £50 million player now, like really starting to deliver. I'm so impressed with him. So as you say, he really does. He's a key cog in this team now. And And it's great to see it. He looks like a man again. Like I was saying, about Declan seems to be enjoying his football, like really, really having fun out on the pitch. Like you say, I don't know what that comment was from that Bournemouth player regarding them being in control. Bit of an odd comment to say. I think he was referring to the fact that they had a lot of the ball and more of the ball than us. But we're 3-0 up. We're not going to be going gung-ho and desperate to be attacking the goal. At that point, you can probably sit back a little bit and absorb a bit of pressure and not break your back and just pick them off. That's what we were doing. So I don't really how he can suggest that they were in control, because they weren't doing anything really much with the ball. I mean, they weren't bad, Bournemouth. I'm not having a go and saying they were terrible. They weren't terrible, but we had the quality. We undone them. But sorry, back to player ratings. And number one, Paqueta for me. It was a real difficult one for me, but I was like you, mate. It was between Paqueta and Rice. That they are becoming a really, really good midfield duo now. And dare I say it, I had to say a word about Thomas Souček. Probably his best game for West Ham this season yesterday. Like actually put in a very decent shift, played all right, and that's considering the fact of the season he's had, where we've all been screaming out for him to be dropped. I thought he did well, and I think that role was suiting him a little bit more now, getting a little bit more advanced. So fair play. Midfield was good, mate. It's all positive, isn't it? We can't complain. This is looking now like a
for once, yeah.
I know. It's strange, and it's so nice, isn't it, to finally enjoy some football. I mean, I've actually been watching Match of the Day, watching highlights, hungry, and obviously, of course, enjoying the Tottenham result, which was ever more enjoyable.
Of course.
Of course.